Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time your phone rang and it was a friend calling just to chat, or your grandkids dropped by not because they had to, but because they genuinely wanted to? If that's been happening less and less, I want you to know it's probably not what you think. It's not your age. It's not that people are too busy. And it's definitely not that you're not lovable. In my experience, there are 6 very specific habits that slowly, without anyone ever saying a word, make the people around us start to pull back. Most of us don't even realize we're doing them. I didn't for a long time. So today we're going to talk about all 6, not to make you feel bad, but because once you see them, you can change them. And when you do, I promise the difference in your relationships will surprise you. Let's get into it. Habit number 1, turning every conversation into a weather report of your problems. Here's a pattern I've seen play out so many times. Someone asks, "How are you doing?" And instead of a real answer, what follows is a 10-minute rundown of everything that's been wrong. The traffic, the neighbor, the news, the aching back, the price of groceries. Now look, I get it. Life has real frustrations. And honestly, when you've been around long enough to see how much things have changed, it's hard not to feel a little worn down by it all. But here's what nobody tells you. When every conversation leads with what's wrong, people start quietly bracing themselves before they even say hello. They still love you. They just start protecting their own energy. I had a neighbor named Patty, sharp, funny woman, but somewhere along the way, every conversation with her became a list of complaints. Grocery prices, her doctor, her sleep, her kids not calling enough. After a while, my husband and I noticed we'd take the long way around the block just to avoid running into her on the porch. We felt terrible about it, but we couldn't help it. The fix isn't pretending everything is perfect. It's learning to balance. For every frustration you mention, try anchoring it to something good. My knees have been giving me trouble, but I walked to the park this morning and it was beautiful out. That kind of honesty pulls people in instead of pushing them away. Habit number 2, making your health the main character in every story. There's a difference between sharing what you're going through and making your health the centerpiece of every single interaction. And it's a line that's easy to cross without noticing. When the first thing out of your mouth is always about a new symptom, a medication adjustment, or the latest doctor's visit, especially with family, people start to feel helpless. They can't fix it. And over time, phone calls start to feel like medical briefings. I know a man, 74 years old, named Frank. His daughter told me she used to call him every Sunday, until she realized she'd started to dread it. Not because she didn't love her dad, but because she'd hang up feeling anxious every single week. Eventually, she started calling less. Frank had no idea. He thought he was just keeping her in the loop. You can absolutely share how you're feeling. That's important, and the people who love you want to know. But after a brief update, shift gears. Ask them something. Tell them a story from back in the day. Talk about something you watched or read. Remind them, and yourself, that you are so much more than your health. If you're finding this helpful, drop a comment below with the word "yes." It lets me know you're here, and it really does make a difference. Now let's keep going. Habit number 3, dressing like you've stopped caring. This one is delicate, so I want to say it gently. There's a very human tendency, as we get older and our social circles shrink a little, to stop putting effort into how we present ourselves. Comfort becomes the priority, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a tipping point. When clothing is consistently stained or mismatched, when personal hygiene starts slipping, when the hair is always unkempt, people notice, and more importantly, they feel something when they notice it. It's not judgment about looks. It's the sense that the person they care about may have stopped caring about themselves. A friend of mine went to visit her father after a few months apart. She told me the first thing she noticed was that he was wearing a shirt with a stain on it that looked like it had been there a while. "It sounds silly," she said, "but it scared me. It felt like he was fading." Getting dressed with intention, even just clean clothes, combed hair, and a splash of water on your face, sends a message to everyone around you, and more importantly, to yourself. I'm still here. I still matter. I'm not done yet. You don't need a wardrobe overhaul. Just a little daily intention. It changes everything about how you walk into a room. Habit number 4, talking over people, especially the younger ones. If I had $1 for every time someone told me, my grandparent never actually listens, they just wait for their turn to talk, I'd have a very full wallet. This habit sneaks up on us. It usually isn't rudeness, it's impatience or the very real fear of forgetting what you were about to say. So you jump in, you finish their sentence, you redirect the story toward your own experience. But from the other side of that conversation, it feels like being dismissed. Over time, people, especially younger family members, stop sharing the things that actually matter to them. Because why bother? There's a woman I know, 71 years old, who kept saying her son never opened up to her anymore. When I eventually talked to her son, he said, every time I start to tell her something, she cuts me off and turns it into a story about herself. I stopped trying years ago. That broke my heart, honestly, because she genuinely wanted connection. She just had a habit that was blocking it. The single most powerful thing you can do to become someone people love talking to? Listen all the way through. Let there be silence after they finish. Then respond. People will find you magnetic, not because you said something brilliant, but because you made them feel heard. Habit number 5, living in the past like it's still the present. There's something beautiful about a person who can tell a story about how life used to be. The old neighborhood, the way things were made, the simplicity of another era. Those stories have real value, but there's a version of this that pushes people away. And it sounds like, back in my day, we didn't need all this nonsense. Or, young people these days have no idea what real work looks like. Or, everything was better before. When those kinds of comparisons become constant, they create a quiet wall between you and the people you love, especially younger generations who are just trying to live their lives the best they know how. My uncle had this habit. Every family dinner turned into a lecture about how soft the younger generation was. Over time, my cousins stopped bringing their friends around. They stopped bringing much of themselves around, honestly. Your life experience is one of the most valuable things you have, but it lands best when it's offered as a story, not a verdict. Share what you've been through. Talk about what you learned the hard way. Just leave out the part where it implies that everyone doing it differently now is wrong. Curiosity is more magnetic than criticism. Try asking what life is like for the people around you. You might be genuinely surprised by the answer. Which one of these has hit home for you so far? I'd love to know. Leave a comment below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time. I put out new videos every day. Habit number 6, acting like you already have all the answers. There's a version of wisdom that draws people in, the kind that comes from someone who's seen a lot, stayed humble, and kept learning. And then there's a version that pushes people away, the kind that assumes because you've lived longer, you automatically know better. It shows up in small ways. Correcting someone in the middle of their story, dismissing a new idea before hearing it out, starting a response with actually, or, well, what you don't understand is. People, especially younger people, can feel when they're being talked to as if their experience doesn't count. And eventually they stop asking for your input at all. Not because they don't respect you, but because the conversation never feels like a two-way street. The wisest people I've ever known all had one thing in common. They asked more questions than they answered. They said, tell me more about that, instead of, here's what I think. They stayed genuinely curious. And here's the thing, that curiosity made everything they said land harder, because when you finally did share your perspective, people leaned in. They trusted that you'd actually listen first. You've earned the right to your opinions. Just remember that wisdom offered with humility is worth 10 times more than wisdom used as a hammer. Final thoughts. So there they are, 6 habits that can quietly push the people we love most in a different direction, all without a single word ever being said about it. And I want to be clear, none of these make you a bad person. They make you human. They creep in gradually, usually during seasons of life when we're dealing with real pain, real loss, real change. But here's what gives me a lot of hope. Every single one of them is fixable, not with a personality transplant, just with a little awareness and a little practice. You don't have to be the loudest voice at the table to matter. You don't have to have all the answers to be respected. You just have to show up with warmth, a little curiosity, and a genuine interest in the people around you. That's what people remember. That's what keeps the phone ringing. I'd love to hear which one of these resonated most with you. Leave me a comment. Honestly, reading your thoughts is one of my favorite parts of doing this. And if this video meant something to you, share it with someone who might need to hear it too. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.